Hello and welcome everyone. So in this video we're going to actually creating a new ability for our health regeneration and really understanding the gameplay tag system inside of gameplay ability system, and we are going to also understand why we have structured our character like base character, player character, enemy character, and so that it's easier to navigate inside of the blueprint using the gameplay ability system. So starting off, what I've done is structured our folder more appropriately. So the characters go inside their respective folder, the user interface in their respective, and the abilities have their own subfolders. For example, the melee has its own folder. Okay, so first of all, what I'm going to do is actually restructure some of the content in base character and the player character. So you see that we have our melee combo system inside of our player character, but I also want it to be shared with our enemy so that our enemy can also do this stuff. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to remove it from here and actually paste this all of inside of our base character class. Okay, so before I compile this, I'm going to do relink all of these variables inside of here, and it's going to be like this, and I think this one. Okay, compile this. Okay, this is done, and moving back, and you'll see there are a few duplicates that I'm going to delete from here because we don't need them anymore. Okay, I'm going to leave the weapon component overlapping over here because you can have like shooter enemy that's not going to have this collision component, and you may need in the future that you have some different weapon, like this weapon is on this skeleton. If you want to switch weapons, for example a bigger sword or like an axe or some kind of other stuff, you need this to be on the player character. Enemy can have their own weapon classes. For example, a shooter enemy will have different weapon, or melee enemy will have another type of weapon. So it's best to leave it over here. Okay, so this is done. What I'm going to do is actually rebind our variables inside of our melee class because this will be broken, and we're going to change this to get anim montage, this one, and get melee speed. Okay, link these up and let's test this out. I think nothing should be broken. Okay, our combo system is working and we are damaging the enemy. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is start creating our health regeneration ability. But before we do that, I actually also want to do the same thing for our melee class. For the gameplay ability class is, for now we're going to use the blueprint based class and not the C++ one, but in the future we might add a C++ variant for this as well. Search for gameplay ability, this one, and this is going to be in base gameplay ability, and open this up. So this ability is not going to be used inside of our player or enemy character, rather this is just the base class for our all of the gameplay ability class. So I'm going to create a function called get character info, and this is going to get owning actor from actor info. This is going to be cast to base character. This is going to be cast to bp_ player character, and player character is also going to be from here. If this fails, cast to bp_ enemy character. Okay, this is done. I'm going to return this, and I'm returning this base character and the player character and the enemy character, but for this enemy would be invalid, and enemy will be valued over here. It's going to be base, and this one is going to be enemy. Rename these. Okay, and this. Okay, so once this is done, I'm going to be GMelee class settings and going to rename this to base gameplay ability. We should actually rename this to BP based gameplay ability, so that it's differentiated from C++ once we create it in the future. Okay, and now what we can do is actually delete this as well. I'm going to get character info. It has those execution pins, so what we can do is convert this to a pure function. Okay, and now we can link this up to our player, link this over here, and everything should in theory work fine. Yes, it's working fine. Okay, let's create a new ability, Health Regen. Moving inside, we will create a new blueprint class of the type Gameplay Ability. Rather, this one be base Gameplay Ability, and this is going to be GA Health Regen. Open this up, and what we are going to do is delete these. We don't need these. And once we activate ability, we're going to commit this ability. By committing, we're going to commit our cost and cooldown. After this, we're going to play montage and wait. And while the montage is playing, we're going to apply gameplay effect to owner, that is ourself, and on completed, we're going to end ability. For all of these, we're going to do this. Okay, this is done, and now we want to create our gameplay effect class for this and for our cost and cooldown. Okay, moving back, we create a new blueprint class. It's going to be gameplay effect. This one, and this is going to GE Health Regen Effect. Okay, since this is a data only blueprint, what I want to do is instantly change our health by approximately 50. I think that should be fine. Moving back, we not need to duplicate this for our cost. Okay, and duplicate again for our cooldown. Okay, open this up, and for this, what I want to do, since this is a cooldown, I don't want to be instant. We should have a duration. We don't need a modifier for this, and we want to have a cooldown of 5 seconds and also period of 1 second. Okay, cooldown is done. Next we move to cost, and we're going to cost some mana, and that's going to be like negative 20. Okay, so once this is done, we're going to link this all up. Moving back to our GA Health Regen, this is going to be Health Regen Effect. Okay, for the cost it's going to be GE Health Regen Cost. Okay, for the cooldown is going to be GE Health Regen Cooldown. Okay, now to activate this ability inside of the player character, I am going to define an input called ability 1 on the key numeric 1. Okay, so inside of our player character, I'm going to call this ability 1 input. So once this ability is, when this key is pressed, I'm going to try activate ability by class, and this is going to be Health Regen. Okay, and I also need to initialize this ability on our character, and this is also going to be Health Regen. Okay, and I think I've forgotten the animation inside of this, so what I'm going to do is go to Paragon Greystone. Oops. And I'm going to use this card cast animation. Create a animontage for this. Right click on this and create animontage. Once it's created, just change this slot to upper body. Okay, close this. Okay, I think everything should be done by now, and let's test this out. So when I press the 1 key, you see we're not doing any animation. Okay, let's check this again because I haven't set this, I think. Health Regen, this one, yep. cast this. Okay, now let's try this again. Okay, we are doing animation and we are increasing our health, and you'll also notice that even though our health is full, we can still activate this ability. Now this thing will be fixed inside of our C++, and when we move in the future, we create some more helper functions to actually define these tags to block and grant these abilities. Speaking of tags, now I'm going to actually go ahead and add these tags to our gameplay abilities. And so tags are basically a way to identify the things inside of the gameplay ability system, and they have all the abilities can have tag, and the cost and cooldown gameplay effects can have tag to identify what tag should be applied, what should be blocked, what should be cancelled, and what tag should be present to apply these tags, and so on. Okay, so we're going to start with the melee ability. I think we should do this. Okay, for the ability, if you remember that we already created this hit event tag to identify for the weight gameplay event, and what I'm going to do is identify this ability with melee, not the hit event but the melee hierarchy. Okay, and we also have this cost for this, and what I'm going to do is also define a tag for gameplay cost. So you can actually use this to, like, if there's a buff on the player in some region, you can say if the tag is present, do not deduct this cost from the player, something like that. So for in the gameplay effect asset tag under the edit category, I'm going to create a new tag. It's going to be character ability dot melee dot cost. Okay, this is done. Moving back, I'm going to go back to Health Regen. Open this up, and I'm going to create a new tag for this. It's going to be character dot ability dot health regen. Okay, this one, and same for this effects cost and cooldown. We'll do cooldown later because it's a bit different from cost and other regen effect. Okay, for the regen effect, I'm going to do character ability dot health regen dot regen effect. Okay, and next we do for the cost, same under the gameplay effect asset tag. I'm going to add a new tag, character ability dot health regen dot cost. Okay, and the last one is for the cooldown. Now for cooldown, you have to use granted tag instead of the gameplay effect asset tag, and we're going to create character ability dot health regen dot cooldown. Okay, so the reason why you use a granted tag for cooldown instead of the asset tag is that because I saw this in a tutorial and I honestly don't know what the difference is, and this just works. But the difference between these two is that the gameplay effect asset tag actually exists on this gameplay effect, while the granted tag is also applied to the ability system component that it is applied to. Okay, this is the main difference between these two. So once our tag is done, you'll see that nothing has changed. Everything was just same as before. But once we actually create that fire ability environmental effect, you'll see that it costs us a damage for some duration, but when we are doing our health regen, we can actually cancel that effect via our gameplay tags. Okay, so let's create our environmental effect, and so I'm going to create a new folder for this environmentals and create a new blueprint class of type actor, and this is BP fire zone. Okay, let's close this up. It's cluttered. Okay, inside of this, first we're going to add a plane to identify this, and this should be like 1.25, 1.5, and add particle. This particle, and this is going to be fire. Okay, just to give it a visual, and a box collision. Okay, fire should be this and this. Okay, now let's increase this. Okay, 75 by 75 by 30. Let's move this up a bit. Okay, so we're going to drag it over here. Okay, it's going to be 21. And for the blueprint, what we're going to do is actually add an overlap event for this on component begin overlap, and this is going to be get ability system component, and from here apply gameplay effect to self. We are using self because we want to apply this to the actor that has overlapped, and there is no target in this case. And we're going to create an effect class for this. Create a blueprint class, and it's going to be gameplay effect. Okay, so rename this GE fire effect. Open this up, and for this, what I'm going to do is actually have a duration for this of 7 seconds, and it's going to modify my health by approximately, I think let's go with 5. Okay, and I'm also going to add a tag for this under the gameplay effect as a tag, and this is going to be character.env for environment and fire.effect. Okay, and I also want to not apply this or cancel this effect when we are doing our health regen. So if you remember, in our health regen we have regen effect, we have this character ability health regen effect. We're going to add this tag to removal tag requirements. If you read the tooltip, it says tag requirement if met will remove this effect, also prevent effect application. Okay, so what I'm going to do is add our tag character ability health regen and regen effect. Okay, so once this is done, I'm going to add this to our fire effect. Let's test this out. We should be receiving damage over some time. Okay, I think I forgot to change the duration policy or something. Or I forgot to add the period, I think so, yes. It's going to be 1. Compile and save this. I also want to point out another thing about the gameplay effect, and that is stacking. If you see, if I overlap it multiple times, my health is decreasing much faster rate than 5 points. This is because the gameplay effect of fire is stacking on my player, is applying multiple times to it. So to prevent this, if you go over to the stacking category, change the stacking type to aggregated by target, because in this case we are the target. We are the one that this effect is applied upon, and we are not causing this. So we're going to say stack limit count to 1. This is applied only once, and now I hope this works. And if you overlap this multiple times, you see we have only one instance of this effect applied upon us. Okay, and our health is decreasing for 7 seconds. And next what we're going to test is that once we apply our health regen effect, this effect should automatically cancel out. So just to visualize this, I'm going to go back to our player character and actually add our event for on health change. So it's going to trigger every second when we are on fire, and it's going to stop changing once we have used our health regen ability. So print string, and I'm going to do this append. This is going to be old value, and add a new pane. It's going to be new. Add a pane. So this, just rename this to. Okay, let's test this out. So you see that when I'm over the fire, my health is decreasing, but once I use my health regen ability, it stops. If I do not cast my health regen ability, you'll see that my health will keep on decreasing for 7 seconds by 5 points each period. Okay, but once my health is decreasing, I cast my Health Regen ability, it stops. Okay, so basically this is the advantage of using these gameplay tags to identify which ability should be casted, which effect should be blocked. And another thing I also want to point out over here, like you might have some other abilities. For example, let's take this melee ability and our Health Regen ability. So I want to say that when I'm casting my Health Regen ability, I don't want my melee ability to be activated. So what you could do is that once the Health Regen block ability is tagged, you can use your ability like melee, or you could just keep it at a character ability. So any ability should not be activated when you are using your Health Regen. Okay, this is going to block your melee ability or some other abilities while you are playing this animation, and it's not completed to the end ability. Okay, this is the advantage of using gameplay tags inside of the gameplay ability system. And this is it for this video, and in the next video we can create just one more ability. Basically for the Greystone, it's from the game Paragon, and this is going to be area effect. And after that video we're going to actually move back again inside of our C++ to add some more functionality. Like for example, we need to block the Health Regen once our health is full. If you see that it keeps on going, once our health is full we can still cast this ability. So we want to actually block this ability if our health is full and not cost mana to our character. So we can add activation block tag, but there is no way right now inside of our player character to add this tag to this ability system component. So this is it for this video. Thank you very much.